Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
Just be sitting up there jacked up Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
we call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bowls. Just.
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast.
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
The vibration's going to stop, and then your sound is all going to stop. So that's getting pretty far into the calling of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any tube that you would suggest a beginner start with?
Not really. I would just say if you have a tube at home, or your dad has a tube, or your brother or someone in your family has one, just grab it and start playing with it.
One thing I wanted to add was that I always struggled with the traditional tube style.
Yeah.
Now this little cup piece, now my screen is here, I'm going to switch the screen around here so the people listening can see it. So this little piece that you add to the end of your bugle tubes made all the difference in the world in my ability and sound with this tube. I don't sound nearly as good. Well, I would like to think I don't sound nearly as good with the other one. I mean, I'm not saying I sound good with, either way, but I'm saying with this little piece that you put on end, this little rubber piece, it sure definitely helped me with my bugle tube. And, like I said, I am, far from experienced when it comes to elk calling. So,
well, part of that, if you take that end cap off, that hole's a lot smaller because now you're just dealing with the plastic. I have mine glued on pretty good, so I don't pull it off. But the hole is a lot smaller rather than calling on the end of here. And that's kind of why I flared it. I kind of did it for like creature comfort as well. But it does make a difference when you're calling.
Gotcha, for sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit about using the reed and then applying the bugle tube to it at the same time. So kind of what it should sound like make the sound you're making and then what it sounds like when you're applying the bugle tube.
Sure. Okay. So, and believe it or not, when you're doing cow sounds as well, a lot of times I don't do everyone through it, but I do cow call through my tube as well. So if you're just going to do a basic cow, it does change it. It gives it a little more tonal quality. So I do use it for some of my cow calls, obviously not all of them, but where it really starts to shine is when you start doing your moans and groans and chuckles, and then obviously right into your all-out bugles, your location bugle, advertising bugle, all those ones, they all have special names to them, but you pretty much have to have a bugle tube to do the sounds properly. I mean, you can just do a bugle with your reed, but it's not going to sound the same, So
for sure. So are you nothing's changing though in that sequence. So when people are making the sound, they're making the exact same sound, but they're just applying it to their lips. They're not jamming it on their face, so it's like really hard and tight. They're just gently pressing against the lips, right?
Yeah, just basically, I'm not pressing my lips into it. They're just up against it. And basically what a lot of people are going to find, and me as well, I find I actually call better with a tube than without a tube. I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's just you're taking your focus off making the sound because you're doing it into a tube now. It almost like it tricks your brain a little bit. And you don't think about, okay, I don't want to mess this sound up. As soon as you put a tube to it, it's kind of automatic. You just do the sound into it automatically, right? So
right. I guess mentally too, the thing is with like, not necessarily with the cow and calf calls, but especially with the bull calls, which we'll get into in a little bit, that's where you really notice it, because when you're using a reed, you might be you might start off doing it and you're like, well, this sounds nothing like it. But then as soon as you apply the bugle tube to it, you're going to be like, whoa, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now I can actually hear those sounds and like what I was practicing. But in order to get that, before you even put a bugle tube to your face, you have to, work those muscles, get comfortable with that reed in your mouth so it doesn't feel like you're going to choke on it. Because like for the first time you put it in your mouth, you feel that latex on the roof of your mouth and on your tongue. It's kind of like a bland taste where you're like your body's natural reaction is to spit it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So make sure you get those go through the first processes, and then, but yeah, once you start adding a bugle tube, it is definitely good, because then you can start, understanding what you've been practicing before. You start to make, you start to hear the sounds that you've been making, and they sound more like you're, imitating the out calls.
Exactly. Yeah. And one thing I want to point out, people are going to start out with a cow and calf reed, like we talked about, and then they're going to advance to like a bugling reed. So this one's
that one there, the Chaos?
This one's called the Chaos. Yeah. So the difference between them, they both look the same. If I hold the reeds up, the reeds both look the same, but they're totally different. The latex that they're made with, this one's really thin latex. Remember, it's for cow-calf sounds, so you're going to get higher pitches right away. This one's a 04 latex, so this is basically a middle-of-the-road latex that you're going to pick up at any store. It's a 04, and a lot of the stores, if you read the reeds, they'll say like a medium bull or just bull call, stuff like that. The reason they're saying that is because once you start going to a thicker latex, so this one here is a 0.25 latex. This one's a 04. So almost double the thickness. So if you try doing a cow call on this one, it's a lot harder because it's made to bugle. So a cow call. You can hear it's twangy because it's made, it's made for that higher pitch. It wants to go to a high note and scream versus doing a cow call. They're really good once you wear them out. So once you wear them out, don't throw them away because they become a really good cow call. But up until that point, it's basically made for bugling. Location bugles, advertising bugles, chuckles, moans and groans, grunts, that kind of stuff. Barks.
That's really important for sure, because I think for guys who've never called or who really struggle making sounds with those calls, if you're using a call that you shouldn't, that this latex is too stiff, it's going to be really hard. And I find that still if I'm using a really like a brand new call, I put it in my mouth, man, like you have to really push on that to wear that latex in. And like I said, I'm not a great caller. I don't call a lot when I'm elk hunting.
Yeah.
But I like you said, when my call gets broken in, that I really like it then, right? Because then it's soft. I can make cow calls. I use it. I'm kind of like a one and done. I have one of your calls, and I don't remember which one it is, but I have one of them, and that's it. And I have like 12 of those things, and then when it rips or breaks or I lose it, then I grab a new one. But the new one, as soon as you put a new one in your mouth, man, you got to really work and break those things in for sure.
You got to break them in, and you got to get used to that different tension again, because you're going to put different air across it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So going one more step higher, so this is a 04 latex, and this is my Reaper. This is the one that I use mostly when I'm out hunting, bugling, doing all the, all my favorite bugles and stuff. I use this one at Worlds as well. It's a 05 latex, so this one's 04, this one's 05. So it's thicker yet again. So
now, sorry, Trev, I noticed you had there's a bull and a cow up on there. So that thicker latex, is it still, it's still good to use for cow calls?
Yeah. Once you break it in quite a bit, then you can still cow call on it as well. Just like what you were saying with your favorite reed. So. So it does take a little bit to break it in because it is a thicker latex. But believe it or not, I got guys that phone me and they want to buy the Reaper just for their cow call. And I'm like, well, guys, it's a thick latex. It's made to bugle. But some guys press on them really hard. And they press, they're pressing up in the roof really hard and they blow harder. So that's kind of what they want. A lot of these guys are used to, back in the day, there used to be triple and double reeds. A lot of these guys are used to double and triple reeds.
Yeah.
So that's why they go to that one.
I have a question for you, Travis. So, do you have different sizes for different pallets or different frames, or how do you accommodate, say, someone that has like a really high pallet? Because I know for myself, starting out calling, that was kind of a crapshoot. I had to go through a zillion different types of calls and frames. And how would you kind of steer somebody towards one reader if they have like a narrow pallet, tall pallet, or wide, shallow?
Yeah.
How would you steer them with your different calls?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to grab one over here. So in my normal lineup, my frame size is just a normal size frame. It's just a regular one. They call that small, but it's actually a regular. Then I got in part of my lineup, I have a narrower frame. So it's smaller, like the distance between here and here. Here and here is a lot narrower. So it's actually made for younger people, females, and then men with the higher palate, like what you're saying. So, and most call manufacturers will have their regular frame and then a narrow frame. And some have, if you do Phelps, they do a medium frame. I think his amp frame is probably a medium frame through Phelps. And I'm actually in the process of building a medium frame right now as well. So I'll have that out hopefully for hunting season this year. But right now I just have the narrow frame and then my regular frame, and then I'm going to be adding the medium to it. So it'll be the medium frame is going to be between the narrow frame and the wide frame, and it should fit, most everybody from there on.
And how do you tell, like, say if you're teaching a beginner, how do you tell if the reed is fitting you right?
So if you're at a store and you take your reed, basically, if you put your thumb if you take your thumb and you put your thumb up to it like this here, and you kind of measure, if you kind of measure the width, basically, with your thumb, you're not measuring the whole width of the reed, like from the edge here to here. You just want to know this part here to here. So what you're feeling for is the actual frame that's inside there, because there'll be an aluminum frame in there. I wonder if I have one not built. Just give me one sec here. Okay, so here's a frame. That's what the frame looks like. So what you're measuring for is this outside edge here to here. and you're basically using your thumb to do that. And of course, you're going to have tape on it, so you got to take that into it a little bit. But if your thumb fits pretty even with that, that's the size frame you're going to be. If all of a sudden you put your thumb up to, say, here, I'm going to pull this one apart.
Yeah, because I know for me, starting out, if I didn't have the right reed size, I put one on and then I could almost make every noise right out of the gate. Versus others, you get a lot of air getting past and it gets harder. It feels you're like really laboring for even cow calls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can see this one here. Obviously, my thumb is way, way bigger than what this one is.
Mm-hmm.
So this would, like if I throw this one in my mouth, it gets lost up in my palate because I have a really not high palate, but it's flat and wide. So that's why when I throw this one in, this one fits my thumb pretty good to where the frame would be.
Awesome.
So that's kind of one quick thing you can do at the store. Just put your thumb up to it and have a quick look. And what I do is, press on the tape so that you can definitely see where the frame is. That's how wide it's going to be. So.
Perfect.
So that's kind of just a quick little gauge. I mean, everybody's thumb is a little bit different size. But once you do it a couple times, you're going to see exactly what I mean. And you're going to be like, okay. And then from there, while you're at home, take your thumb so you know how big your thumb is. Put it up in your palate. Like that. Like literally touch the roof of your mouth. And then go side to side. So. And what you want, like on me, I have about 1/8 of an inch on each side when I go back and forth. My thumb isn't touching my upper molars instantly. I have to go back and forth a little bit. So that's going to give you a really good idea. As soon as you go to the store now and put your thumb up to it and go, okay, well, dang, that's going to be pretty close. Mm-hmm. So, it'll save you $15, buying one just to go, get it home and go, man, that thing doesn't even fit. Yeah. What a waste of money, right?
Mm-hmm. Gear up for the hunt and learn from the best with Deer and Deer Hunting Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Tune in every week for expert hunting tips and unforgettable moments in the field. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.
A life that has the stories to back it. A life to be proud of. It's a Winchester life.
Yeah, baby. 6'8" Western. Oh, mule deer, baby, right there.
Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV.